I'd like to see the credentials right now.
You insist?
What's up, guys? We are here to talk about this little series that I got going on here. This is going to be about a 3 or 4 part series on gun control, disarmament, and of course, if it's even actually possible. And we're also going to be talking about what exactly creates these mass shooters. Now, guys, this right here is going to be like a 4-part series that we're working on, maybe 3. It depends. I mean, I may condense 3 and 4 together, but I want to talk about this stuff because there's a lot of things that get kicked around out there, and of course, we've got a lot of smoke right now going on. We've got the left versus the right. You've got the left versus the left. You got the right versus the right. Pretty much everybody at this point in time hates one another, and it's always because after every mass shooting, Democrats love to do this thing called gun control. They love to preach on it. They love to blame the gun and not the actual shooter themselves. They don't really and truly want to talk about mental health, regardless how much of what their pundits like to say. They just want to go after the gun itself. And guys, like always, what's the actual saying? Guns don't kill people. Husbands who come home work from early kill people. And the gun just happened to be there. I mean, if guns cause shootings, then I could blame misspelled words on my pencils. You guys see what I'm saying? It's not exactly the smartest actual argument. The world can be debunked very, very quickly with just a good old-fashioned common sense statement. Now, guys, to my Pro-2A community out there, I want to go ahead and say to you guys right now, I love what you guys are doing. I love the fact that you guys are getting cases in front of the Supreme Court. Right now, we're looking at an actual expansion of the actual rights itself. Now, guys, when I talk about actual disarmament and why 2A, Second Amendment, is so important, probably in videos 2 and 3, I'll be bringing up previous cases. Of course, Heller versus D.C., McDonald, Chicago. I'll be bringing that up. And, of course, the case out of New York. I'll be bringing that up over the course of the week. Now, guys, with that there out of the way, let's go ahead and kind of give some highlights of what exactly has been said as of late. Now, some of this, by the way, is also piggybacking off of a previous video that I did earlier today on Justin Trudeau's play for guns in Canada. I need to make a really, really quick addendum. I made a comment in that video where I said that I don't know what the Canadian Constitution says. Well, come to find out, Canada doesn't really have that much of a constitution. If you guys, I mean, they have a Supreme Court, but they don't really have much of a constitution. And right now, you've got people in Canada trying to go out there and go buy handguns at the very, very last second. By the way, we'll be touching up on why it is gun sales always go up as a result of this over the course of this video. And I'll give you my personal theory towards the end of the video of why it is I think they actually do this stuff. And, of course, we'll be touching on the actual stuff that's in this current bill that they want to actually pass, which, by the way, I personally don't think will pass. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and give kind of a recap of what's going on right now.
A .22 caliber bullet will lodge in a lung. A 9mm bullet blows the lung out of the body. So the idea of these high caliber weapons is there's simply no rational basis for it in terms of about self-protection, hunting. The Constitution, the Second Amendment, was never absolute.
He supports a ban on sale of assault weapons and high-capacity magazines and expanded background checks to keep guns out of the dangerous hands. He does not support a ban on the sale of all handguns, to answer your question. I know there's been conversation about hardening schools. That is not something that he believes in.
I will say, as I've said countless times, we are not sitting around waiting to figure out what the solution looks like. You know, we're not looking for a vaccine. We know what works on this. It includes, let's have an assault weapons ban. An assault weapon is a weapon of war with no place in a civil society.
All this stuff, of course, occurred after the Uvalde shooting. Democrats always do this after every single mass shooting. And, of course, we've talked about the law enforcement response, why it was that it took 40 minutes, why it was you had a bunch of cops out there who just did not want to go in, why it was that it took an off-duty Border Patrol agent to actually go in there while he was getting his hair cut, and it wasn't even his shotgun that he used to go in there and go save the kids, which, by the way, of course, 19 still died, and, of course, teachers also died as well. This right here should not have happened, and I've made mention on several occasions that I think that veterans need to be hired to patrol the schools to actually create choke points and actually guard entrances and exits and try to minimize the amount of areas for shooters to actually go into. By the way, Jeffrey Prather made a very, very good point today. I may dig into this right a little bit further when we get to the mass shooter topic. He said he feels that parents themselves need to actually be patrolling the actual schools. We'll talk about that there at a later date. Now, Joe Biden wanting to ban 9mm ammo, 9mm guns, at first I thought to myself, there's not much logic behind that, especially considering that a .38 special is more powerful than a 9mm. considering that a 45 ACP is more powerful than a 9mm. I mean, there are several handguns, there are several different types of pistol cartridges that are much, much more effective than a 9mm. But I think I figured out the real reason why he wants to ban 9mm ammo, which, by the way, is kind of serves their end game, which, by the way, we'll discuss towards the end of this video. And, of course, I'll be bringing it up more and more and more to help kind of relay the points down in other videos. But also something else, too. So you want to take the gun away, but at the same time, as your press secretary just said, you're not okay with hardening the schools. Don't really and truly understand the logic. I think if you want to protect the kids, you might would want to harden the security at the schools. Also, something else, too. Kamala Harris does not help in this situation. So Joe wants to ban 9mm ammo and 9mm guns, but Kamala Harris wants an assault weapons ban. It seems to me like the administration is not exactly on the same page. You see, my thinking is that they want an assault weapons ban, but Joe Biden kind of sort of leaked out the actual full end game, which, by the way, I'll touch on towards the end of this video, my personal theory. But let's go ahead and talk about the matters at hand. So just kind of give you guys a bit of a the long and short of things, especially when it comes to the actual bill that they're proposing. They're looking at stuff like banning bump stocks. Okay, well, Trump signed a bump stock ban back, I think, in 2019, and of course it got struck down by a lower court. So I don't see how that right there is going to be relevant in this situation. Also, something else too, it's not been addressed at the shooting in Uvalde involved a bump stock at all. You're also talking about magazine bans. We'll talk a little bit further about that right there when I get to my actual theory about what it is that they're trying to do towards the end of the video. But it's mostly stuff that, quite frankly, would not put a dent in any crime at all. If anything, it's stuff that might actually increase crime. I mean, guys, the bluest states in the country, like Illinois, where you got Chicago, New York State, of course, all these blue states have got some of the strictest gun laws in the actual country, and they've got literally the worst crime rates and worst murder rates of anyone in the country. I mean, which, by the way, is also hilarious, too, because very, very deep blue Vermont and New Hampshire, which, by the way, typically votes Democrat on the federal level, and, of course, the state of Maine, those three states practically have no gun laws at all, and gun control is not popular there in some of the deepest blue states in the country, but yet New York, of course, California, Oregon, et cetera, I mean, Chicago, Illinois, Minnesota, those states right there, those blue areas, they always tend to have the highest amounts of crime. And, of course, they've got some of the worst actual gun laws. So I don't think that tightening the gun laws actually helps in the situation. I think it's probably going to make it a lot worse. Guys, let's go back in time, okay? The 1994 crime bill, which, by the way, was headed up by your current president of the United States, Joe Biden. Okay, Joe Biden is the main senator who was pushing the crime bill at that point in time. And it actually had some very, very bad effects on the African-American community, which, by the way, I'll be leaving a link in the description box to talk about that actually discusses the 94 crime bill to kind of give you guys some background on that right there. Also the 1991 one, which a lot of legal scholars believe was actually a lot worse than the 94 one. Now, of course, that 94 crime bill included an assault weapons ban. Now, the thing about that particular bill is that when it was signed in September of 1994, Democrats got absolutely shellacked. I mean, they got absolutely destroyed in that election. At this moment in time, the Democratic Party is kind of in a very, very bad state. You see, while they are somewhat pushing I say somewhat. Let me explain why I say somewhat. I'll give you my reasoning right now. They are somewhat pushing the leftward agenda. I mean, if they really truly wanted to push the communistic agenda, they could do it, even though it would kind of sort of get struck down in the United States Senate because you got a 50-50 Senate and not exactly a full Democrat Senate majority mandate. You only got like a 9-seat majority in the Congress, so therefore it's kind of hard to do that. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to slam all this crap in to try to appease the radical left. It's not working. So right now they have to kind of get rid of the radical left. This is one of the reasons why they pursue very, very small measures. They do it in very, very small bites. Yes, they are trying to install some form of socialism, but they do it in very, very little bites. Me personally, I think what they're really truly trying to install is actually fascism, which, by the way, will be a much different topic later on down the road. This right here did not work out for them. Now, I want to fast forward to 2013. Sandy Hook. It was Dianne Feinstein wanted to install another assault weapons ban then. Now, of course, these people, they always consider the AR-15 to be an assault weapon, which, by the way, it's not. It's just simply a sporting rifle. And AR, of course, stands for Armor Light Model. It stands for Armor Light Model 15. They always try to manipulate people on that. And I may have said in the previous portion while I was recording this, that their voters don't know this. You see, their voters keep on screaming for background checks, but what they don't seem to realize is that anybody who's ever bought a gun would know that you have to fill out an FFL form, a federal fire licensing form, which, by the way, is a background check. It goes through NICS, which, by the way, is a division of the ATF. They do a background check on you, and they either put you in a delay category or they go ahead and they approve the actual sale of the firearm. This is assuming that there's any type of red flags in the actual background check itself. That Dianne Feinstein bill, Barack Obama at that time had, I think it was a 53-45 majority in the United States. He had like an 8-seat majority. He had 8 seats. 8-seat majority in the United States Senate. As a matter of fact, the 2 independents, both one of them out of Maine, and one of them, of course, this is back when Bernie Sanders was an independent, where he caucused as he was an independent, he was caucusing with Democrats. You could have basically said right then and there that she had 55 votes. They didn't get it done. They didn't try to get it done. As a matter of fact, Democrats in the United States Senate were not in favor. But one of those senators, of course, was Joe Manchin out of West Virginia. Joe Manchin, by the way, being a Democrat in the state of West Virginia is kind of strange, especially considering the fact that West Virginia, I think next to the state of Wyoming, is like the reddest state in the country. It's kind of weird to me how he was able to pull that off. But we may save that right there for another day. But the thing is this right here. The fact of the matter is that gun control is just not popular. They tell you that it polls very, very well, but the thing that people don't seem to understand about polls, and I'll go ahead and give you a quick example of it while I'm talking about this right here, is that polls don't always cover all the data. A lot of times they don't mention the secondary data or the data within the data. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Anytime you hear somebody like Kyle Kulinski or you hear somebody like Cenk Uygur scream that 90% of the American people want free health care, of course 90% of the American people want their health care free. Here's the problem, though. When you go into that actual same graphic, the problem is this right here. You find out that when you ask the said individual, are you okay with this type of health care if you have to pay this amount of money? When people find out how much the crap costs, all of a sudden that 90% turns into 33%. They're not giving you the full facts. They're giving you a blanketed poll, and they're not giving you the actual full details. Speaking of those details, there is no such thing as free healthcare. It's subsidized healthcare paid for by the taxpayer. Guys, before I end this video, or before I decide to get to the ending segment, I want to go ahead and kind of touch back up on my theory. Okay, here's the deal. Joe Biden is talking about 9mm ammo. Kamala Harris is talking about assault weapons. Of course, the most common weapon they refer to, of course, is the AR-15 rifle. Okay, never mind the 30 carbines, never mind all the other great fine weapons that we could get a hold of. I'm not going to tell you what I have, by the way. And like I said before, I'm very, very pro 2A. Go out there and buy as much guns, as much ammo as you guys want to. But I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not, but every time Democrats bring up gun control, what the hell happens? People just go out and buy more and more guns. Okay? You see, they're actually making the product worse, or they're actually screwing up their overall end game. These people are absolutely incompetent. And of course, I think the end game for the Democratic Party is to have some type of massive majority mandate and to actually go out there and take up the guns. The problem is that they're seriously outgunned and undermanned. They're not going to be able to pull this off. So it makes me kind of wonder what the deal is. Now, here's the thing, okay? When they talk about 9mm ammo, I got to think to myself, what do the troops carry? Mostly, especially a sidearm. Primarily a 9mm. When I was in the Corps, it was the M9 Beretta, okay? Magazine sizes, of course right now at this moment in time, I think they're carrying SIG 320s, at least the U.S. Army is, which, by the way, the U.S. Army is the actual branch that would be used against the people at home if they ever actually tried to go through with an actual gun buyback program or an actual gun confiscation program. Don't worry, we'll talk more about that rather in the disarmament chapter of this entire series and why it is I think disarmament is completely impossible. I still encourage you guys, if you guys got the money, you want to go buy a gun, please, by God, go ahead and go do it. By the way, YouTube, I'm just telling people to go buy a product that they already buy, so please don't strike this video. Another thing, too, that you got to understand is that when they talk about AR-15s, they're talking about 5.56 as a whole. You see, I could always get an AR platform weapon and get it fit to 22, okay? They want the AR-15 off the actual shelf itself, and why would they want that done? Because the troops carry the AR-15. Guys, let me break this down for you really quick, all right? Let's just say that something was to occur. Let's just say that the troops came in and you had a civil war with the Army, the National Guard against the civilian populace, fighting a bunch of veterans. And let's say that, let's see, we got AR-15s, we got M14s or whatnot. We all carry 5.56. Let's say that during action, let's just say that maybe 3 of our guys get 3 of their guys or whatnot. Fact of the matter is they're carrying an AR-15 too, so I know that their magazines and their ammo will basically what it is that they're scared that they would be actually feeding their own militias that would oppose them. That's what I've always been saying. Same thing with 9mm. I mean, go back to what I was saying about the troops having SIG 320s and having M9 Berettas. They all carry 9mm. That right there is the real reason why they want 9mm and they want 5.56 weight. So that way, people couldn't pick up actual ammo and accessories or magazines from their opponent. That right there is the real reason why I think they're aiming for those two weapons right there. Joe Biden just happened to kind of sort of expose it when he said he wanted the 9mm. Now, it's very, very possible that his gaffe could have been talking about another pistol round, but when he says that the 9mm will blow your lung out of your body, I said, no. What a 9mm round will do is just simply go straight through and come on out. The lung will not leave the body. You're going to have problems, obviously, but to actually blow the lung out of the body, you're going to need something like, I don't know, like a Desert Eagle 50 cal or something like that. That's my theory on that right there, is that they want 9mm rounds pulled up and they want 5.56 rounds pulled up because the troops carry 5.56 and 9mm rounds. If people have got 9mm rounds and ammo, magazines, and accessories that the military already has, which, by the way, they even talked about banning body armor. Okay, well, I can go to a gun show and get body armor. I mean, has anybody kind of sort of thought about this? It's almost like they're trying to disarm the populace from using the same weapons that they do, because oftentimes civilians get the same gear and if not better gear than the military does itself. I mean, dude, I'm a prior service Marine. I know all about getting crappy gear. So, no, guys, I do not believe that gun control was ever going to get done. Now, by the way, that does not mean that you should stop fighting. Of course, you should continue to fight. You should always continue to fight for your rights. And guys, really quick, this right here is just part one of a series I'm going to be doing on this topic. This video, by the way, will be released tomorrow on Claymore, and it will be released on Short Timer as well. It will also, at the same time, the Claymore channel will also get one of the videos that I released earlier today, and Short Timer will get a separate video that I released that I made the other night. So that's how the video schedule is going to be tomorrow. But guys, I want to kind of give you guys a bit of a preview of what to expect. We're going to be talking about the myths themselves. Of course, I've got to kind of sort of, go back through the script one more time, but I'm making the video tomorrow night. Talking about the myths, talk about the type of stuff that the media lies about, the crap that they actually push. Like I said before, most people don't have an understanding of how of the actual Second Amendment. So they don't even have an understanding of guns because they don't actually go out there and try to buy guns. Most people believe that people get weapons without an actual background check. This right here is an absolute lie. Like I said before, FFL form, ATF does a background check. And when people talk about National Registry, well, you're kind of sort of already registered in the system when you buy a firearm. So a lot of the crap that they're saying is just more and more rhetoric, more and more bluster. I mean, that there for the most part is what it is, because politics is kind of a show at this point in time. These people are not really interested in actually doing anything for you. What they're trying to do is they're trying to slowly but surely, and what I mean by this right here is that they're slowly trying to install socialism in very, very small bites. If they tried to install socialism or tried to push it through like the radical left does, you get what the hell you have now. You get massive backlash. You see, when people actually feel the pain, they sort of wake up and they realize, wait a minute, these people here absolutely suck. Put the other people back in office. Put that orange guy back in. We don't care. We'd actually prefer to have the mean tweets back. Put his ass back in office. You guys see what I'm saying? You see, they're trying to slam this crap in, and they're not paying for it now. But now, guys, let me give you guys a bit of a preview on this right here. What we're going to be talking about in the next video is those myths, of course, and we're also going to be talking about disarmament, and we're also going to be talking about, well, disarmament is basically, I'm just basically going to explain to you guys why it is that disarmament is completely impossible. I got the idea of doing this series from another YouTube content creator. Of course, you've probably seen Heavy Duty Country. He did a very, very quick video on can they actually take our guns? Well, I already knew the answer to that. It's basically impossible. They're not going to be able to do that regardless of legislation because, well, there's just too many factors that will actually impede that. And, of course, I chose to actually expand upon this, which I will be doing this week. But I'm also going to be talking about what exactly is causing these mass shooters. And I'm also going to be talking about this incel culture that's actually come as a result of this. So make sure you guys stick around. Guys, John Claymore here, Short Time of Prepping. If you like the content, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video sound in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later.
You see, that right there is why nobody's going to invade the mainland in this country, okay? They're not. I'm going to tell you, they're not, all right? It's not because of the military. Don't get me wrong, they're a bunch of badass motherfuckers, okay? But there's a difference. They have to follow certain wartime rules and rules of engagement and everything else, and orders and bureaucracy from the politicians, right? The American citizen, the American gun owner, the largest freestanding army in the world, we don't have to follow that shit, and we won't follow that shit. You set foot on our land, we will light your ass up like a goddamn Christmas tree in December. okay? You feeling me, all right? You got a bunch of citizens in this country who are well-armed, well-trained in those arms, and know the terrain. People in the plains, the Midwest, the frickin' mountains. I mean, come on. Fuck around and find out, motherfuckers. Shit.